Alright, what is up guys? JaretCampisi here. Welcome back to the Custom Daytona Series, where we take this beautiful brand new Triumph Daytona 675R, customize it with your support, and then give it away once we are finished. If you'd like to be a part of the series for behind the scenes access, input into how this bike is customized, head on over to patreon.com/Campisi Customs. Welcome to episode 4. Alright guys, so in this episode I am actually heading over to Carnes Performance, which is our local Suzuki dealer, but they actually have a really nice dyno and they have a very professional tuner who's very experienced. His name is Jason, and he is actually going to be breaking in this bike on the dyno. So this bike only has about 25 miles on it or so, and they're actually able to break this bike in on the dyno in about 10 to 15 miles. So I didn't want to put 500 miles on this bike since I'm going to be giving it to a new owner. I wanted to give them the feeling of having a brand new motorcycle, and so I didn't really want to put the full break-in miles on it. But if we're going to be putting an exhaust on it and you know, performance modifications, then you really want the bike to be broken in so that you can do, you know, full speed dyno pulls and figure out what different numbers you're making and stuff like that. So you know, I think this is a really great way to do it. Have it broken in on the dyno, then I'm going to take it straight over to our Triumph dealer. They're going to do the first break-in service, and then we're going to have the bike completely broken in with as few miles as possible, and then we'll be able to do performance mods and see the before and after horsepower numbers and all kinds of stuff like that. So we have arrived at Carnes Performance. If you need dyno tuning done and you're local to the central Pennsylvania area, highly recommend them. They also have a bunch of good, they always have really great bargains in here when it comes to used bikes and stuff. Like that's a badass R6 right there. $5,400? Like, what the hell? That's cheaper than an R3. Look, there's some Gixxer lineup. That white one is so ridiculous. Salt the Wounds girl just got one of those. So badass. And of course, the belle of the ball, the brand new Gixxer. 2018, 2017, I suppose. Alright, so Jason's gonna take it in and he's gonna start the break-in process. I'll try to give you guys some information once I ask him, but basically he told me he's just able to go through the heat cycles of the engine, and that allows him to break it in. So we're gonna get this all strapped in, and I'll check it out in a minute. so I'm going to have Jason just briefly explain what he was doing because I thought that was really cool. So do you want to just kind of talk about this process?
Basically breaking the engine in. I start and do several pulls at 25% throttle, 50, etc., etc., working my way up to 100% throttle. I didn't graph any runs until it was 100% throttle because it didn't make any sense. But now the rings are fully seated, and now it's time to change oil and do the first service. Yeah,
so I'll be going straight over to the Triumph dealer right now while the bike's still hot and get that fresh, or the break-in oil out of there. And then the bike will be broken in. Do you know how many miles it took? Like 10 or 15 or something like that?
How many did you have on it?
I had like 20, I think, or 25.
That's 44 now.
Yeah, so about 20 miles.
Yeah.
That's freaking amazing, guys. So instead of putting 500 miles on and riding around like a pansy and not even knowing if you're getting everything to seat properly, we did it all correctly in here with way less miles for the new owner. So thank you so much, Jason. We always appreciate working with him. If you're local in the area, Carnes Performance, definitely check him out. He does amazing tuning and all kinds of different work on bikes. So there's the stock horsepower number. So that'll be our base number, 116. For a 675R, that's actually very good, so I'm really happy with that. And Jason has this dyno dialed in, so they're real actual numbers, you know, it's not padded numbers. This thing's calibrated correctly and all that kind of stuff, so sweet. All right, so there you go, guys. The freaking bike is broken in. I gotta tell you, that was one of the coolest processes I've ever seen. Took like 15-20 minutes. I think I actually had a little more miles on it than I thought I did, so I think it actually only put about 15 miles on the bike. And I will tell you, every single new bike that I buy, I will be taking to Jason and have him break it in just like that, because that makes so much more sense to me than riding it around on the street at low RPMs for 500 miles. It's like, who wants to buy a brand new bike and then go ride it around like a pussy for like the next 500 miles, you know? So to me, that makes a lot more sense. It seems like it's a lot easier on the engine, and it was a really cool process to watch. So again, shout out to Jason and Carnes Performance. Amazing guys, and we have good relationship with all the people here, all of our local shops, and we really appreciate working with people like that who are so knowledgeable and so dedicated to their craft. So I am heading over to Triumph dealer now, Yamaha Triumph of Camp Hill, where I purchased the bike, and I'm gonna have the bike broken in for its first service. What are you doing? There's a thing called a turn signal. So we're gonna get that break-in oil out of there, have them look over the whole bike, make sure everything, you know, seated properly. I've never seen a first service done, so I think it would be cool to actually see what they actually do and see the process. So stay tuned, it's gonna be a cool little part here. All right, so we are at Yamaha of Camp Hill, and Brian is a service technician here. He's gonna go ahead and do the first break-in service for us. So the first thing he's gonna do is get that break-in oil out of there, since it's nice and warm. And is it like a thicker oil that they use for break-in?
I think they actually use a thinner oil.
Oh, a thinner oil.
I think it is.
So it lets the particles come out a little bit easier and stuff like that?
It allows everything to break in okay.
Okay, gotcha. So he's gonna get all that stuff. Oh yeah, wow, that's completely different, huh?
It's all red.
Wow.
They just started using a red oil in these things. It used to
Interesting.
be the brown style oil.
Wow. So we should see some shavings and stuff in there, huh?
Not usually.
Oh, it depends?
Yeah, it just depends, but usually you don't see much of anything in it.
Interesting.
Everything, wheel bearings, make sure everything's good, coolant level, brake fluids, all that stuff. We look it up the computer, make sure there's no codes, make sure it's got the proper tune in it, check throttle body sync.
Nice, so you kind of just go over the whole bike, make sure everything works correctly.
Wearing in good like it should.
Okay, cool. Very good. All right, so we got all the oil drained out. Brian's just replacing the filter right now. He's snuck in there from the side. I would have had to take the whole damn fairing off to get in there, but he's a little better than I am. So putting the new filter in, and then we'll be moving on to the next parts. Anytime you're doing a first service, you gotta have gummy bears.
He's gotta have the gums. Right?
Nick
Gummy
Nick
bears.
knows.
It's all about the gummy bears, man.
So one thing Brian just pointed out is, I didn't even notice this was on there, but the O-rings on these are black, and they sit and they look almost identical to the oil filter. So make sure when you're changing those, you make sure this comes off, and you put a new one on, Brian.
The oil filter comes with it.
Oh, the oil filter comes with it. Yeah. So there you go. Which is different than the crush washers that sometimes you'll see with other filters. So yeah, he said if you leave this on and put the new one on with the other one, they're just gonna have oil flying out all over the place. So be aware. What kind of oil are you putting in there?
This is a 10W50 Castrol.
Nice. So filling that puppy up. Do you know how many quarts it takes?
They're like 3.5 roughly. almost 4.
Cool. So another thing that they're going to do for the first service, check the tire pressure, and they'll just put it to stock settings. I won't be riding this bike until we put an exhaust on it to take it back to get tuned again. So mainly it's just going to be sitting in Dado's garage. So yeah.
The tire didn't lose any air at all.
Oh, nice. So Brian mentioned that normally they'll adjust and lube the chain, but since we only put a few miles on it and did the break-in miles on the dyno, the chain is all good to go. Nice. So he said he was just checking the battery, make sure everything's tight. He's gonna plug it in and make sure no codes have been thrown. Check the coolant, make sure that's all good to go. And we're just moving right along here. So right now we're plugged into the ECU on the bike, and he's going through the whole entire thing. You can check all kinds of different stuff, but checking the throttle bodies, you can see they're all dead on. He's just saying,
You can check what your sensor voltages are at this time.
wow,
Like you have the throttle position sensor voltage, you go do stuff like that.
that's so crazy.
If you go here, this is the actual readings that the sessions are throwing out. Like the cooling temperature sensors there, air temperature, there's your injector pulsing. The coils are the next one. So if you see that a coil's acting up, you can go there and see how it's firing. Here's your idle speed. These are your steps to the stepper motor.
Yep.
And so it says you have secondary air injection status. It's on, so it's working.
Nice.
Then you can go here. Shows like the purge valves, the cooling fan status. Once that kicks on, it'll show it's running.
Wow, that's crazy. So since we did the first break-in on the dyno with only 15 miles, what we're going to do is we're going to set the next service interval to 1,000, and that's when the new owner will want to change their oil, and obviously I'll tell them that and stuff like that, and then it'll just go back to the normal maintenance.
Yeah, the light will come on at 1,048, so it says 48 miles on it.
Yep. So Brian noticed that there wasn't much clutch adjustment up top, so he's going to go ahead and loosen it down here, which will give us a little bit more adjustment play up top there, so it'll be easier to do there for us. So would you do just loosen that down there a little bit?
Yeah, basically I'll just pull this way, and it'll make it sloppier up there,
Yeah.
and then you can adjust it out up at the bar.
Perfect. So Brian was washing up the bike for us. Looks absolutely amazing. He was saying any bikes that come in here for service, any type of service that they do, they'll always wash them up for them. And I think that's really, really nice of them to do. Teens also arrived from her slumber. So yeah, the bike is all serviced and good to go. And I'm super excited. How's it look, Teens?
It's good.
Amazing. So there you go, guys. Just like that, we got it all broken in. First service done, and it has less than 50 miles on it. So I think that's pretty freaking cool. Shout out to Yamaha of Triumph for all their hard work, and of course Carnes Performance for breaking in the bike for us. And I'm gonna ride this home, and then I'll be taking it back over to Dado's house tomorrow, and that's where it's gonna stay while we make it start putting some freaking parts on it, man. And this bike's gonna get badass quick. So if you guys want to be a part of the series, get behind the scenes access, input into how this bike gets customized, head on over to patreon.com/Campisi Customs. Once again, we're going to be giving this a bike away once we are finished, and my goal is to make this one of the lightest, best looking, fastest 675R Triumphs on the road. So I hope you guys are excited. Thanks for watching the video. Share this with a friend who would love to win this bike. Be sure to hit that thumbs up if you enjoy the content. Subscribe for more videos, and we will see you guys in the next one.